I'm a bit of a Terraria pro myself is something I'd like to say, but I don't really have much to back it up with. I have beaten Vanilla on Master Mode and also Calamity Death Mode on Master Mode, but these don't feel enough to me. I needed more. A challenge that's not too sweaty, but also not too casual. And I decided on beating the 40 Vertiseed on Master Mode on Hardcore. I named my character, hoping that it's the only one that I'm going to need to name. I set the world up, and I pressed create. Boy was I not ready for what's to come. Immediately after joining the world, I started spamming the dash hotkey that Red finally decided to add, but to no avail. The realization that I don't have a dash caused me an amount of pain that's simply not describable with words. The run just started and I already feel like ending it all. We have to go kill that fucking guy as soon as possible. For the world is pretty fucking old at this point that it's not even considered a secret seed anymore, so most of y'all probably know what it's about. But I'll still explain it because, well, I kinda run out of jokes 2 minutes in and I need to keep up the commentary for your dopamine deficient brains. It's a seed made by the creator of the game himself to torture whoever is fool enough to play it. Its main purpose is to increase the difficulty of the gameplay by changing bosses, mobs, and world generation in ways only the greatest fiends known to humanity can come up with. The thing is, it's really not that difficult since it's still pretty vanilla. Like if you have the time and determination, you can get it done eventually. It's just really hard not to die in this mode. There are increased traps, boulders split into more boulders, and also exploding bunnies. And there are like 50 plus non-boss mobs that can just genuinely one-tap you. But all these are nothing for a professional like me. Anyways, I went to the left side of my world hoping to reach the ice biome fast for some easy early game weapons. Instead, what I found was the desert. Normally the desert should be pretty nice to see first, since you can quickly get yourself a cactus armor for some early damage. But not in 40. From the moment you enter the desert, an imaginary meter will start measuring your happiness. Once this meter reaches too much, the Satan himself will bless you with the presence of the vultures. They can fly, they take 1 damage from all your starting weapons, and they are very persistent. Luckily I didn't see any. Instead, I saw these antline idiots that I can just deal with like this. And then the vultures came. Without reaching the amount I needed for the cactus armor sadly. Decided to take my chances at the opposite side. While I was going through spawn, I noticed the drastically increased amount of these worm wrecks. For a regular shot like yourself, this probably means nothing. But for a fishing connoisseur like myself, this was like a British guy seeing the canned beans aisle in a supermarket. Red must have also noticed this happiness I felt and immediately decided to put another desert right near the spawn. Now, a normal person would just take the chances and make a run for it. But I'm not a normal person. I am what you may call a pussy-ass bitch. And I've played these games before. I know what lies behind those suns and it's nothing but that. Instead, I started digging down hoping to run into a cave. And I did. In fact, I ran into a mushroom biome with 2 life crystals on it. Let me just go mine them real quick. Yep, got him. Okay, that looked pretty pathetic. But hear me out. I hadn't touched any game in the past 2 months and I also was on a new PC, so cut me some slack. No one was thinking I was going to get it on the first run anyways, right? I even found a lucky water walking boots. This run will actually be it. Found another mushroom biome and this time decided to play it safe. Also wanna show you this clip. The new getting hurt voices that I've added actually saved my life here, cause I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings. This may seem like a pretty average clutch for y'all, but for me it was a huge victory. I felt like an American kid surviving his first school shooting. I was practically immortal. There's nothing that could end my run. This is it, this is the run. Nothing can stop me. There is no way I die. So, they added this thing called the Dart Trap Slime, which is also stronger in 40. It was starting to get to me. I was getting tilted and making more dumb mistakes. Like this one. Alright, I'm going to lock in now. And there it was, a pyramid with a magic carpet in it. This was the sign that my luck was turning around. I was able to travel so fast thanks to this. And I ran into the I skedaddled out of there so fast I couldn't even set up a joke. This was the run, guys, I had to play it safe. Tried the other side and went inside a cave. Found both Hermes boots and also a cloud in a bottle. This was actually looking insane. For pre-hard mode, we have two main goals that are more or less essential for progress, and a bunch of side goals that aren't really necessary but still going to increase our quality of life by a lot. The essentials are getting an imp statue and building a Terraria arena in the jungle. We need the imp statue for defeating the wall of flesh without getting cancer, and we need the Terraria arena for, well, obviously, the deer clubs. The only gear I really needed to deal with the eye was a gun, so I went out to get it. And it was pretty helpful in general. Wanted a bit more health before I fight the eye, so I went into the caves again and see what happens. A fucking imp statue. I am telling you, this is the run. Anyways, I had also started building this intercontinental railway, during which this new coin rain event started. I got a decent amount of money from it. It seems that the maximum amount of coin you can get from this event goes all the way up to platinum, so I kinda wasted it by not paying attention. Like, I was underground for half of it. But I don't know, I was kinda distracted after getting that imp statue. Before I could get to the eye, the goblin army spawned. I dealt with them using the lava that I had set up beforehand. Then I was back at the caves to get max health and... Guys, I already killed the eye but forgot to record it. I think I paused the footage at some point but forgot to resume it. This was like my first ever experience using OBS, I'm sorry. Anyways, I did trash everything it dropped, so this is gonna feel like a first fight anyways. I farmed some demon eyes to craft another spawn. I checked to make sure the OBS was running, and I spawned the first boss of this playthrough, the Eye of Cthulhu. The main change the Eye gets in for Duarte is the new spin attack that spawns a bunch of his babies from the first phase, which is the main difficulty spike since it basically combines the two phases of the fight in one where you both have to dodge the boss but also deal with the ads, which can easily overwhelm you. This is where our minecart comes into play. As you can see, all I had to do was to pack them up and just run over them. The minecart completely one-shots them. Trains once again showing they are the superior mode of transportation. And with that, I have won my first boss fight. And finally acquired the dash. The pleasure I was feeling at this moment was akin to the pleasure millennials feel when they convince you to play Cards Against Humanity with them. The next goal was to kill the worm so we can get some gear upgrades. By the way, I also found the Angular, which also wasn't recorded. A slime rain had started. There were some new items related to King Slime, but none of them seemed that impactful for me at this point, so I kinda skipped it. I also found this Pal World thing, which provides a dash and increases damage. Would have been pretty cool early on, but at this point I even forgot I had it. This is gonna be a common trope where I completely disregard 1.4.5 added items because I'm too lazy to look anything up beforehand. Anyways, I started preparing the Ether Arena. But as you can see, thanks to the increased spawn rates of Duarte, these Eaters of Souls were swarming me like billionaires swarming miners. A good thing to help with this would be a Flink Summon, but it felt like their spawn rates were dropped, so I gave up on that as well. Another solution would be a banner obtained through a statue, but how am I ever gonna find that? And I'm gonna have to share the seed for this world probably. I found the start trap and farmed some Eaters using it. The banner was definitely helpful, but this is still pretty tedious. By the way, this new lightning storm event is cool as fuck. I also found the big thing. The last step for the arena was this North House up top. After setting that up as well, I reforged as much of my accessories as possible to have warding, got whatever potion I had found, bought some grenades, and also had some jester arrows as well. You may think this isn't enough preparation, but even this much is enough for a bomb like the Ether, right?
Fight back!
Okay, so that was disgusting.
First of all, the Ether obviously has fucking explosive resistance. This isn't even a for the word to think, it's like that all the way from expert mode. Second of all, it was way too fucking fast, and the vial speeds were also fast. Third of all, I had sold my magic mirror thinking I would get enough recall potions, but I was playing safe so I didn't get enough recall potions, and that's why I didn't want to waste my recall potions. And also my platforms were whack as fuck, so I kept falling.
You may be like, Krov, how the fuck did you not think about any of these things? Well, you see, actually, I'm fucking stupid. Alright, attempt 2, here we go. The main changes the Ether gets in for Diverty are that he can shoot vial speed even underground, the vial speed cannot be destroyed, and also each segment that's defeated spawns an Ether of Souls that can also shoot vial speed, which also can't be destroyed. I should have obviously fought this fight underground, but I just didn't know about the fact that he can't shoot his stuff while he's on the background wall. I just thought he was just able to shoot his stuff underground, period. Kinda shows how low my knowledge of this game actually is. Anyways, let's keep watching the fight. Most of y'all probably got what happened, but let me explain. I somehow managed to separate a small segment from the rest of the body. After that, the main body despawned because I went outside of Corrupt, but the small segment didn't despawn, because it was relatively closer to me, I would imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, the only thing that's bigger than my stupidity and laziness is my luck. I doubt this was a bug, but it's definitely not something that was supposed to happen either. So I should probably trust the drops and try to win the fight legitimately. And that's exactly what I did. I tried all the drops from the fight, because I'm honorable like that. Also, a blood moon happened. At a perfect time for me to rant about something. There needs to be some way to get the bloody tier outside of blood moon. Both in hard mode and pre-hard mode, blood moon fishing drops are early to barely mid-game tier weapons. So in most playthroughs, if you don't get the blood moon early on, they're basically useless. Literally in this case, after defeating 2 bosses, I already had access to the imp staff, which is an upgrade to the vampire frog staff. If I go back to that horrendous fight I had with the Ether, see, the problem is that the pre-hard mode bosses are all bombs in my head, so I don't feel like properly preparing for them, and then I get surprised like this. But if I wanted to win this challenge, post the video on YouTube, and achieve my dreams of becoming a YouTuber, I had to take this a bit more seriously. And that's what I was going to do for the next fight ahead. Anyways, watch me get cancer trying to reach hell through 10,000 lava puddles. So, the first step of taking it more seriously was to set up planter boxes. This is something I should have already done anyways, honestly, like what the fuck am I doing? Then I mined some hellstone using one of the obsidian potions I had. And got some obsidian from a nearby lake. And there, I had full molten armor, an imp staff, and the volcano. Things were looking good. As I was about to set up some pylons, another fucking blood moon happened. The game was making fun of me, it seems. So I played along. I made this cage to capture some blood moon fish enemies. As I've said, the weapons were kinda useless at this point, but the chum buckets could be useful in the future. As y'all can see, I got all these guys here, but I had no clue what I was supposed to do with them. I just hadn't thought this far. Even God was bored of watching me trying to make this work, so I just decided to smite the mobs to end this clownery. There were no weapons, but I got the fishing rod. Anyways, back to setting up pylons. I keep changing what I'm doing, guys. Sifting through this footage is a nightmare. Even I don't know what past me was up to. Like, I just stopped what I'm doing at some point and started doing this gnome farm so I can traffic some gnomes. I'm glossing over this with that because it really wasn't any more relevant than this. To be fair, it did bring okay money, I guess. I kinda get why it was like this. I was just at a point in the playthrough where nothing was happening. Like, almost 4 hours of footage was just fishing quests, occasionally interrupted by a little bit of exploring and working on the skeleton arena. Anyways, more fishing and a bit of exploring later, I was finally ready for the fight. The last noteworthy thing was the lightning boots I had crafted and shimmer reforged to have warding. My arena was 6 sets of platforms, with the last 2 sets going longer than the rest. All of the arena was covered with heart lanterns, campfires and sunflowers, and the 2 bast statues I had. I also had a nurse house with a bed to position myself better at the start of the fight, and also have a secondary plan just in case things got tricky. Was wearing molten armor and all my accessories had warding on it. My weapon of choice for this fight was the Molten Fury paired up with Hellfire arrows. Boomstick would have been slightly better I imagine, but I couldn't find it. Lastly, I also had almost all the battle related buff potions available at this stage of the game, alongside a Red's potion which provides 3 random buffs for 30 minutes. With that, I was ready for the fight. There was nothing standing between me and my victory against the Skeletron. Just start the fucking fight, man. The main changes Skeletron gets in For the Worthy are that he's way bigger, and when his hands are down, he starts spamming these Dark Casters. The water bolts from the Dark Casters cannot be destroyed. Also, he deflects ranged projectiles when he does his spin attack. Guys, I gotta admit, I kinda over-prepared this time. Like, I had this worry that the Dark Casters were going to be a big problem, and that they were going to push me into Skeletron's spin attack or something like that. But like, I barely even saw any of them. And the fight just ended without me even going down to Alphalt. I was feeling kinda more embarrassed from this fight rather than the Ether fight. Like, I really didn't need to be tryharding this hard. Whatever, moving on to my final challenge for pre-hard mode, the Wall of Flesh. Even though I said I was embarrassed to try hard, I was going to do the same for the Wall. Wall is a different boss from the rest. You can't disengage from the fight, so no trial attempts or second chances. Before that though, dungeon time. There's only 2 chest loots that I want from the dungeon, the handgun and a cobalt shield. Also shadow keys, but they're pretty common anyways. Aside from that, obviously the bewitching and the alchemy tables, and a couple gold keys for the locked sky chest. The first chest I opened had a cobalt shield and a ram rune, which is a Dead Cells related new item. Since the boss I'm going to be facing is the Wall, it won't really be useful now, but it could be pretty helpful in hard mode. Right near it was a bewitching table, and a bit ahead was the mechanic. A really good item to help with the dungeon looting would be a void bag, but I need scales for that, and I used all my scales on an armor I didn't even use. We've been over this, guys, I'm stupid. I didn't really care to disarm the traps or mine the spikes right now, because I was going to do that in early hard mode where I can break dungeon blocks. The rest of what happened was just me getting mildly impressed by the new enemy, and also not getting what I wanted. Eventually I got the handgun. It seems they added a shimmer upgrade to the alchemy table, but I didn't know about that while recording, so I crafted myself an obsidian shield as well as a phoenix blaster, which will be my weapon of choice for the Wall of Flesh. But there's a bit of time for that. Had a few extra golden keys as well, so I went exploring some sky islands for a horseshoe and a red balloon. Next was an underground desert dive, so I can get some sturdy fossils to make scarab bombs with, which was going to be useful for building the Plantera arena. And I started construction. The simple reason as to why I'm building this arena now is that I want to spend as little amount of time as possible in the hard mode jungle. By the way, I wasn't going to fight the Queen Bee simply because she didn't have anything that essential for me. And since I'm playing in For the Worthy, she still has a chance to kill me, so I don't want to risk anything. Same with Deer Clubs. She even applies the frozen debuff, so yeah, no thanks. The end product was this small box with a tunnel going down from its corner. Depending on what changes Plantera gets, yes, I haven't checked, this may be just enough. Now that the jungle arena was done, the next step was the Wall of Flesh arena, which was gonna be, you guessed it, another railway. This may seem like not a good idea, but I'll explain the thought process that I had during the fight. Anyways, I kept building the arena while also looting the shadow chests on the way. There wasn't really anything particular I wanted from them, other than the restoration potions. And maybe some lucky life force potions. Building this arena was going to be more tedious than the rest. Even though I have access to 3 summons thanks to the bewitching table and summoning potions, I still can't use them in case that they kill a voodoo demon out of my reach and the doll falls on lava. Having 1 out would be fine though. It wasn't helping that hell enemies hit hard as fuck as well.
What the fuck was that damage, my guy? Oh!
Terra Spark boots would have been great here too, but I was frauding on my fishing this run for some reason, so I didn't really have the necessary setup to fish for water walking boots. Now that the railway was over, it was time for the imp banners. I bought all that's necessary from the mechanic and started farming some imps. Y'all, remember how I said Vampire Frog stuff was useless? It has way higher DPS against stationary mobs, so it would have been pretty useful here. I could have left my keyboard and auto farm, but instead I have to keep pressing attack here. Funnily enough, all 3 bosses and events I skipped could have helped me here. The Bone Helm from Deer Clubs, various summoner upgrades from the Queen Bee, and the sentries from the Old One's army would have all let me have an easier time. But who cares about having a fulfilling playthrough, right? I'm here to win. Anyways, time to place all the stations and the banners on the arena. And the last step was to reforge my accessories. I changed some of my mobility accessories with either defensive or offensive ones, since I was going to be inside the minecart for the most part. My weapon of choice, as I've said, was going to be the Phoenix Blaster. The tracks I've set up went all the way from one end to halfway into the other end of hell, and around the track was various buff stations and, most importantly, imp banners. I had all the buff potions available at this stage of the game, and 2 of the ones that aren't available to me I was planning to get through a Red's potion. With that, I summoned the final boss of pre-hard mode. The main change the Wall of Flesh gets in for the worthy is that it has smaller segments, but the hungries and the leeches are larger. On top of that, it spawns these imps that shoot fireballs that are faster and can't be destroyed. Here's how much damage a fireball does without the banners. That's why we really needed the banners. As you can tell from the fact that I keep getting hit, minecarts for this fight isn't very optimal. But there are 2 plus sides to them. One of them is knockback immunity. Obviously knockback immunity can be obtained through a cobalt shield at this point, but there's still the chance of me dashing into an imp that teleported in front of me, and getting knocked into the wall. As I'm writing the script, I realized that maybe I could have used that Palworld mount as well, since it rams through rather than bouncing, but oh well. Another plus of minecarts is controlled and consistent speed. The only consistent speed you can reach on foot is the maximum running speed. You can't go any slower than this without stopping occasionally. Minecarts can stay consistent in various speeds. If you utilize this properly, you can stay exactly outside of the trajectory of Wall's lasers at all stages of the fight. I wasn't able to do it properly though. Thanks to all buff potions and my accessories and the imp banners, I was genuinely tanking this shit. I had over-prepared again somehow. This was so easy that it made me consider how difficult this challenge actually is. I mean, I wasn't claiming it was gonna be that difficult either. Anyways, with that, finally after everything, the Wall of Flesh was defeated. I picked up the robes and immediately got out of there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to hard mode. This is gonna be it for part 1. I do apologize for not being able to give you all a full run. I was just really impatient to complete my first video. That's also the reason for the various content I skipped. I promise that the second part of this run will be more fulfilling and better in general. Or maybe I'll just die immediately in hard mode to some new mob or event added. If you liked the video and would like to see future content from me, consider subscribing. I'm also really open to feedback from y'all in the comments at this stage, since I'm pretty new. Let me know what content you'd like to see or how you think I should improve my content. Thank you for watching till the end. Have a nice day.